Alright, what's going on guys, Greg here today, and what you'll be watching in the background is some Modern Warfare 3. I almost dropped a nuke on Rust. Unfortunately, I was taken out, I think, on a 27. These guys in the lobby, they were actually, had some pretty good shots, decent movement, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the game, they were just arguing with each other, screaming at each other for chows on CMG. So I guess that's why I was able to go on such a long streak, is they weren't paying attention to the game, but rather arguing who was better at the game. So, anyways, pretty nice gameplay here on Rust, although, like I said, was a nuke choke. And then I got a nice gameplay against two pretty good players. I could definitely tell they probably play CMG or Wagers, that's what CMG is, or they play some game battles, something like that. I could just tell by the way they were moving and shooting. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoy these matches. I have very limited playtime with the beta, obviously, so the gameplays I get, they're not going to just be stored up from over time where I could just hand pick a nuke and, all this other kind of stuff, or, really high score, because, well, I'm not really going to get that in a very limited time of play. So yeah, anyways, hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's go ahead and get into some tips and tricks. And now, the type of tips and tricks I'm going to be delivering to you guys today, you might already know if you played the beta, but it could be a good refresher. But I'm really gearing this video towards those of you on Xbox or PC who are going to be playing the beta later this week, or maybe you were on PlayStation, and you just didn't have the time to dive in to the current build of the game. So, first things first, you guys don't have to worry about Battle Rage being OP anymore. That has been patched. So, Battle Rage nowadays is going to pretty much work as quick fix from older Call of Duties. For 6 seconds after you pop it. After you get a kill, you will be able to regenerate health. That's just what it does. It also gives you some resistance to flashbangs and stuff of that nature whenever you have it active. But yeah, I don't really know if it's something worth checking out all that much, because 6 seconds isn't very, it's not a long period of time. And on top of that, it takes a while to activate, so it's not really the best whenever it comes to that. Now, another thing I wanted to make mention of is the MCW and the Striker 45 are definitely the best guns in the game right now, and I don't think the MCW is overpowered. It's just rather strong because it doesn't have much recoil compared to other guns. Also, a quick tip, you're going to see me right here trying to open his door with a flashbang. I'm not sure if I just wasn't hitting it properly, or if the guy actually opened it up, because I was blinded by my own flash, so I couldn't see. But I'm not sure if you can actually open up doors with flashbangs. A couple of my friends said they were trying to do it too, and it just wasn't working for them. Maybe it does work, maybe we're just user error, but just be careful with that. And also, another thing about flashbangs is if you look away from them, you won't get flashed pretty much at all, which is a very nice addition to the game. So you can actually use flashbangs to your advantage, knowing that, and you can try to time them properly and maybe catch some of your enemies off guard that will normally just look away from a flash if you're just trying to throw it at them while they're maybe sitting in a corner and you're taking a slow approach. Another thing is, if you guys are feeling that you're struggling to control some of these guns while you're leveling them up, you guys saw right there, I shot my gun at the wall. Don't be afraid to do that. Take a look at the way the recoil is going to go, and then try to counteract the recoil. This Holger has very, horizontal recoil, and I'm not saying horizontal recoil as in the type that we usually talk about whenever we're making classes. I'm just talking about the direction of the recoil is very horizontal, and that could be a little bit more difficult to control than something like the MCW that is very vertical. So if you feel like you're struggling a little bit, don't worry, you can check out the recoil pattern by shooting it at a wall, and you can see how you have to control that gun. As for some of the other guns in the game, the AN94, or the AK that is in the build of this game, is pretty good if you are hyperbursting it. So pretty much how the hyperburst works is the first 2 shots of each spray has very fast fire rate compared to the rest of the spray. So just tap fire the AN94 and you'll find a lot of success with the gun, and it also has some pretty low recoil to boot. Also, assault rifles tend to have higher bullet velocity so far in this game, it seems, so you might not have to be as focused as something like Modern Warfare 2019, Modern Warfare 2, or even Vanguard of constantly putting on that high velocity or longest barrel. You can kind of experiment with some different things. I didn't really notice the bullet velocity too much, but I might be wrong once we see the hard-coded stats, but right now that's just definitely the way it feels. And I would also say that strafing speeds and handling speeds of the guns are also pretty good. Now, I'm not saying whenever you're building a class setup that you should completely neglect your handling or your strafing speed or anything of that nature, but I'm just letting you guys know that these guns actually have pretty good handling by default. So try to balance it out a little bit more than making maybe a niche class setup you might have in past games if you wanted to really focus on getting that strafe speed or long range, bullet velocity and damage and all that kind of stuff. I feel like there's a little bit more variety because these weapons feel like they're balanced a little bit differently this time around than past Call of Duties. Now, with the longer time to kill, you might think that movement is going to be the cream of the crop, and if you're one of those players that's just really scared that this game is just going to turn into some slide-canceling fest, don't worry. One, you're not going to see that as much unless you're in the highest skill bracket, and even then, positioning is still king, and the reason for this is simply you have a higher time to kill in this game, which means that, you know, your aim, where you position yourself on the map, and as well as mixing in some movement with that is really going to determine how you go about winning your gunfights and all that other kind of stuff. Now, there are some vests in the game, which vests are basically like a fourth perk. There's the engineer vest, the infantry vest, and the restock vest, and I believe the gunner vest. So some of them act as like overkill, sleight of hand, double time, you know, perks that we've seen in previous Call of Duty games. My personal favorite one, though, is the engineer vest. How this one works is you trade out your lethal equipment for an extra tactical, and then you also get 2 gear perks. So you essentially have 4 perks plus your vest, which is basically 5 perks, and it feels really nice. I love perks in Call of Duty because they really change the way you are playing the game. For example, if you have 2 gear perks, you might be able to put on Ghost with Hardline, and you can get your streaks faster while also staying off the radar. Or you could use Tactical Mask and Flak Jacket, and you'll be able to, well, resist every piece of equipment in the game. So there's a lot of different variety you can use when you have the option for 2 gear perks. And on top of that, you also get your boots, which if you want like ninja, so you're quiet, you know, you put on the covert sneakers. If you want the climbing pads, you can climb things easier in ground war. You know, you can do that too. And then for your gloves, you can get scavenger. If you want to reload while you're running, you can do that as well. Like it gives you so much variety in the way that you can go ahead and approach how you want to play the game. And I really like this vest idea. It really changes things up. You get extra perks. There's trade-offs. You trade away your lethal and tactical maybe for some other stuff, or you trade away another perk for being able to carry 2 primary weapons. Like, it's a very good idea. I really like it, and so far I think maybe you guys will too. Just try to find a vest you like, but I'm telling you guys right now, the extra perks one is very worth it, and the one with overkill is not bad at all because you do get sleight of hand as well. So if you want to reload faster, the gunner vest, I think it's called, is also really nice. And as an extra perk on that one, you actually start with max ammo in your reserve, which is a nice bonus. Now I want to talk about the spawns in this game because I don't really think we have as much of a squad spawn system as we've had in recent Call of Duty titles. It feels kind of traditional, but it also doesn't at the same time. I've noticed there's like some weird revenge spawn mechanic in here where sometimes like people will just spawn in behind you for seemingly no reason. Like you'll own that area of the map, maybe by flags or whatever it is, and all of a sudden somebody just randomly spawns in that area. So I'm not really sure what's going on there, but it is a very early build of the game, and hopefully they will iron out the spawns as time goes on, because, well, the spawns aren't really amazing in this game, but they're also, I don't know if they're really the worst. I just haven't put enough time in, but I have seen some people on Twitter saying that that they are the worst spawns in COD history. And maybe for Hardpoint that might be true, because Hardpoint, the revenge spawn, seems a lot worse than Domination, but I'm not really sure yet. Only time will tell if it gets any better, but just be careful, people could spawn in your back. Now, I also wanted to give you guys a quick tip if you are on console, and the reason I wanted to say this is because my console friends, I feel that you guys are misinformed. I went back to console to play this beta because I have a PS5, and I decided that's where I was going to go ahead, level up some of my guns early before it comes to PC and just test the game out. And I'm not gonna lie, console is not bad, okay? I feel like so many PC players just blow it out of the water that console is this, huge disadvantage and it's really just bad. And it's really not. I actually had a really smooth experience on console. I didn't notice any weird input delay. I didn't notice all these things that PC players were complaining about. What I did notice is that the PS5 controller, I'm just not that good with. I don't use the PS5 controller, I use a PS4 Scuff Impact, so the PS5 controller just feels really big and weird, and my muscle memory is just not accustomed to it, so that's what I noticed more than anything. But maybe the reason I didn't notice input delay or anything like that is because I am playing on the 120Hz refresh rate, and I also have my controller plugged in with Bluetooth turned off. I am using a USB-C adapter in order to use my controller, which as a result gives you the fastest input response. So maybe that's why I didn't notice any sort of input delay. Also, I have HDR turned off, which is high dynamic resolution. Whenever you turn all of this stuff off, you should have a nice, smooth experience with pretty much zero input delay as if you're playing on PC. And for everyone who talks about overclocked controllers on PC, let me tell you this, overclocked controllers is a 3 millisecond response difference, which is borderline unnoticeable. I do not notice the difference with my controller overclocked than with it not overclocked. So I'm just telling you guys right now, being truthful to you guys, all of you guys on console, trust me, it's fine, okay? Console is perfectly fine. The only thing I would really say is a disadvantage is I was playing on 1080p, which the visibility looks bad, but from what I've heard is on 1440p, it looks good. Anyways, that's all of my tips for you guys that are out there playing Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 3. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you guys have already played the game and what you think of it. And if not, I hope you guys have fun whenever you get your hands on it. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.